Coming up on today's show, could the Seattle Seahawks trade up in the 2024 NFL Draft for USC quarterback Caleb Williams? We'll dive into that possibility. Also, is Pete Carroll coaching for his job this weekend against Arizona? Besides just a playoff berth, could Pete Carroll be fired if the Seahawks lose to the Cardinals? Also got some injury news that we'll get to coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we get to that, though, folks, if you're ready for Sunday, I need you to spam S in the comments section if you're ready for Seahawks football. Each and every game day in the chat, we get it popping with people spamming S to show love for their Seattle Seahawks. I want to do a little warm-up, a little pep rally of sorts. Get a little pep in your step for Sunday. Spam S in the chat if you're ready for Seahawks football, and we'll get started here on today's show. Caleb Williams to Seattle. Could the Seahawks be making a trade to acquire the number one overall pick from the Chicago Bears to get the USC quarterback? The Bears are going to have the number one pick again, this time because of the trade with the Carolina Panthers last year where they traded down, and now they find themselves in a similar situation where they could end up keeping Justin Fields, trade that pick, get more picks, and pass on the number one quarterback, this year being Caleb Williams instead. Dan Graziano of ESPN brought up this possibility, saying the following: I do not know what the Bears will ultimately do in the lead-up to the draft. Fields has played well down the stretch as the Bears appear to have rallied around embattled coach Matt Eberflus, possibly even saving Eberflus' job. Trading away the top pick, amassing more picks, and using them to build around Fields is a legitimate option. Some might even say it's their best. Now, the Bears trading that number one pick, I think, is very possible. Justin Fields, I think, is a very good quarterback that has been in an awful situation in Chicago. The talent around him hasn't been that great. The coaching hasn't been that great. The offensive line has struggled, and he still has shown potential, I think, to be a very good quarterback in this league. And if you're the Bears, if you're going to run it back with Eberflus and everything, then it might make sense to go ahead and trade. And you look at Caleb Williams, as the talent is there. No one's arguing that. There have been some character concerns that might make teams pause on wanting Caleb Williams, and a team like Chicago to say, you know what, we're okay with potentially trading this pick. Heavy.com's Jonathan Adams connected the possibility of Williams with a trade to the Hawks, saying the Seahawks will find it more challenging than the Panthers to move up to number one in the coming months as a result of several factors. Williams has been widely regarded as the top prospect longer than Young was heading into the 2023 draft. The Trojan Star has taken a hit in recent weeks with USC struggles down the stretch. There was a time when Williams was being mentioned in the same category as prospects like Andrew Luck and Trevor Lawrence. Now, it would be an expensive trade. Let's make that very clear. It's not going to be cheap if you want to bring in Caleb Williams, but it's not impossible. It's not out of the question. I think at a minimum, okay, what you're talking about of a potential trade of Seattle pulling this off to bring in Caleb Williams is that the Seahawks would have to give up 3 number ones, 2024, 2025. We can't even put it all on the graphic here, folks, because it would require that much. And probably one of your third-round picks this year. Remember, you don't have a second-round pick this year as well. That was taken by the Giants in the Leonard Williams trade. I think that's just the minimum. That's just where we start. It might even require more than that to pull off this type of deal. And I'm not saying I'm for this, just saying this is what it would take at a minimum to get a deal done. The question then I would ask, okay, let's say you can do it. If the Bears sign up and say, yeah, we'll take the trade, and the Seahawks are in a position where they can get this done. Then the next question I ask is, if you make up your mind that Caleb Williams is your guy, that you want to do this, that you want to make this trade, then in a team that would then be trying to build for the future, how are you supposed to build for said future if you're going to mortgage it around him? Having Caleb Williams would be nice, sure, but if I trade away all my draft capital, how am I supposed to put talent around said quarterback? That's a tough predicament that if you're the Seattle Seahawks, all of a sudden it might not be that great of an idea to trade for Caleb Williams, where it ultimately could be just too much. Now, Caleb Williams, I know very well, as most of you know. I'm an Oklahoma guy, saw him in Norman, but that doesn't mean that I'm biased against him because he left my Oklahoma Sooners. He was fantastic at USC with Lincoln Riley, who we call Tebow in Norman. Won a Heisman Trophy, unanimous All-American, 93 touchdowns. The numbers are there. Even this year, that was considered a down year for Caleb Williams, still threw 30 touchdowns, had 11 rushing touchdowns, 41 TDs this year. He showed them TDs all season long. Caleb Williams, the talent is not the question. It's the character concerns that pause for a second and why I would be hesitant to trade so much for Caleb Williams as far as that goes. So, what do you guys think? Should Seattle give up all that to make a move for Caleb Williams? Y for yes, in for no. Our pinned comment today. Weigh in the comment section. Tell us what you think. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time, the place to go for tickets to sporting events, concerts, theater productions, comedy shows, and more. Just because the Seahawks don't have any more home games doesn't mean you can't use Game Time. Whether you want to go see your Seattle Kraken or your favorite shows, events, whatever, Game Time is great for all occasions. Here's how it works. Choose the event you want to go to. They got the prices listed from there. You select your seat. You get to see if you like that seat or not. And then within a matter of moments, you're checking out, getting your tickets on Game Time. You can pay with Apple Pay, Google Pay, a number of easy products. Link going in the comment description of today's video right now. And here's the deal. We're giving you $20 off with the promo code SeahawksChat. So go ahead, use it on your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Terms and conditions do apply. Game Time, proud partner of Chat Sports and Seahawks today. Promo code SeahawksChat for $20 off. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. Pete Carroll is the hot seat, very toasty, heading into this weekend's game against the Arizona Cardinals. A big question for Seattle. Could this be the last game that Pete Carroll is the head coach of this organization if they do not beat Arizona and make it in the postseason? Seaside Joe, who does a terrific job covering the Seahawks on his Substack site, does really good work. I encourage you to subscribe to his newsletter that he does on there. Had a very interesting piece laying out this situation that came out today. And listen to this, what Joe had to say. If the Seahawks lose to the Cardinals, then under normal circumstances, almost any head coach in the same situation would be subject to having conversations with ownership about his ability to help the franchise get to the Super Bowl. So, well, some of you may say, hey, Pete's won all these games. He's won the Super Bowl. He's done all this for the organization. Take two steps back and think about Pete being measured up to how other coaches are in these circumstances. And the truth of the matter is this, that if the Seahawks lose to the Cardinals, then you look at the second half of the year when the Cardinals had Kyler Murray, they would have been the worst team in the NFC West for the second half of 2023. And if you bring him back, and we've already heard that he wants to bring Jamal Adams back and how they've set up things and that they didn't really make significant progress from last year to this year, what you're asking then, you're setting yourself up potentially is to say, you know what? We might as well finish last in the NFC West next year. That's the bottom line in all this, folks. If you bring Pete Carroll back for one more go-round and it doesn't work out this week and you end up missing the postseason, losing to Arizona, you are asking yourself to finish in last place in the division next year. That hurts, but that's a fact, Jack. Look at how this season has gone for the Seahawks. 8-8, third in the division. They lost 5 out of 6 games, 4 in a row. Just an awful stretch from October 5th to December 10th. 17 in points per game. You have all those weapons on the offense, and they haven't been able to put up points the way that they should. Geno took a step back this year. The defense was a problem. Clint Hurt did a terrible job. And right now you hold the 15th overall pick. In a perfect world, if I'm Jody Allen and the powers that be with the Seahawks organization, I would hope that somebody would actually want to trade for Pete Carroll. Then I can get a new head coach, and I can get some draft capital as well, similar to like what the Saints had with Sean Payton a couple of years ago. to me, then that could be a win-win. If somebody wants him, by all means, you can have Pete Carroll. I'll go get a new coach, and I'm going to get something out of you. To me, that would be the ideal scenario if you're the Seattle Seahawks. So, we believe that it is time to move on from Pete Carroll here on Seahawks Today. Do you agree? Type T for true, type F for false. Let us know what you think in that comment section below. Folks, for the second straight week in a row, we have not one, but 2 watch parties this weekend here on Seahawks Today. We're going to be live on Sunday for the Seahawks matchup against the Arizona Cardinals. And then we're going to follow that up. We're going to run it back on Monday night with the College Football Playoff National Championship game as your Washington Huskies take on the Michigan Wolverines. I would love to get to 48,000 subscribers before Monday night. So, Seahawks fans, Washington Husky fans, sub for dubs. Sub now to the channel and join us for our double watch party weekend here on the channel. It is guaranteed to be a good time. You won't want to miss out. Subscribe now for free. We'll see you on Sunday and Monday live right here on Seahawks Today. One final note before we get out of here today, an injury update from your Seattle Seahawks. Offensive lineman Phil Haynes has been designated to return to the team off of that toe injury, and it opens up his 21-day window. For now, he doesn't count against the 53-man roster. We haven't seen Phil Haynes play since week 13, so it has been a minute that he's been dealing with this issue. And in his place, we've seen rookie Anthony Bradford. And although that I think a lot of us were excited about Anthony Bradford and what he could potentially bring to the Seahawks team, he has struggled filling in for Phil Haynes. He hasn't been ready for that role, and it's been a problem for that Seahawks interior of the offensive line, what we've seen from Anthony Bradford. He is a rookie, but he just simply might not be cut out for that role. At least he wasn't ready for this right now. And so that leaves the Seahawks in an interesting situation where you look at the grades of what we've seen from Anthony Bradford. Pass blocking's been just horrendous. Run blocking, not so great. Overall grade, around 51. He's had plenty of snaps, 609 snaps, but it just hasn't worked out. If the Seahawks are going to make a deep playoff run, they badly need Phil Haynes back because Anthony Bradford, maybe he's going to be good down the line, but he's not there right now. So good to see Phil Haynes at least making a step forward to potentially being back on the football field before the end of the year. Who should start for the Seahawks? Do you roll with Phil Haynes, or do you like the rookie Anthony Bradford? You know me. I'm going Phil Haynes right now. P for Phil Haynes, A for Anthony Bradford. Let us know who you think should start, and we'll see you next time right here on Seahawks.